right, let's hit the field.
All right.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
It's June 19th, and it was Game 2 of a 3-game set between the Yankees and the Orioles in the Bronx. Gerrit Cole was making his first start of the 2024 season. Former big league catcher Erik Kratz is with us to break it down. My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Tough night for the Yankees. They lose a game in extra innings. Welcome to my guest tonight, former teammate of Gerrit Cole, Mr. Erik Kratz. First of all, happy belated birthday. How is post-MLB life at 44?
Oh, it's tremendous. It's tremendous. You don't have to worry about eating. Like, during the season, you can't have that much cake. You'll feel it the next day. Now, I can have like 3 days of cake.
I just turned 42 about a month ago and had pretty much my third or fourth salad. I decided it's time to start mixing in a salad once a month or so. Eventually, it'll get down to once a week. And then once the arteries are functioning properly, then we'll mix it in a little bit more. But, I was mentioning this to Kratz before we started. We've been coworkers now for 1 year today. 1 year I started with Foul Territory, so congrats on dealing with me for a year. Right, you should get a free bowl of soup. You should get a free bowl of soup for that.
with that hat that you got.
Yeah. So that's funny. So I almost killed Kratz one day. We had somebody on the show. I can't remember where the writer was from, but it was obvious that the guy was getting ready to go on the show, and the marketing person said, "Hey, why don't you put on one of our hats to show off the, and it's one of those paper hats with the station logo or whatever." And I said to Kratz in the chat, I said, "I wonder if he got a free bowl of soup with that hat." And Kratz couldn't talk for the entire segment because it was just...
I was out, and I think that's actually, it's a Miami Herald hat. I saw him interviewing when Peter Bendix, whatever he did, he talked. He didn't, whatever the speaking that he was doing was, it was brutal. But he had the same hat on. The reporter had the same hat on. So I think that's his go-to.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Judge out of the lineup today. They had an opportunity to pinch hit with him later in the game. They didn't do it. You've taken pitches off the hand, I'm sure. You've taken foul tips off the hand, all sorts of stuff. How's he feeling today?
He's clearly sore. Clearly he came in and they did treatment and they weren't willing to push it for him. Because when you have – everything is connected. If your hand is hurting and you go to take a swing, now all of a sudden you're compensating with something else. Maybe a shoulder goes, maybe a wrist goes. They're just giving it a day, and that is totally fine, even if they give him the day game tomorrow too.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he gets feeling better. We could have used him tonight. Gerrit Cole threw 62 pitches tonight. Only gave up one run. He had a second run that was charged to him from Marinaccio. But overall, I thought he was pretty good. Fastball topped out at 97.5. He had 6 swings and misses. He had the cutter working. Changeup was good. I thought the curveball was pretty sharp. He threw some breaking balls that I thought he would usually use to like put away curveballs early in the count, like bouncing them. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if he was quite in that rhythm yet. He started to get more strikeouts middle of the game. But what'd you think overall of Gerrit Cole?
I think it's exactly what you said. I think what he was doing was he was trying to get through this outing, and then he started sniffing some strikeouts. And when he was sniffing those strikeouts, he's like, okay, I'm going to get after it. I like the at-bat with Henderson. Rutschman. He went changeup 3-1, and Rutschman, he was flummoxed by that pitch because then he goes curveball right after the changeup. Normally you're going to go curveball then changeup.
Yeah.
And he went backwards there. So he's clearly in competitive mode. And that at bat really, to me, turned it where then he was like, I think that was like the second or third strikeout in a row when he had ended up having 5 in 2 innings. To me, it's when it looked like he kind of settled into okay, this is the big leagues. Like this is what I do. This is what Gerrit does.
Yeah, he definitely settled in. That was obvious. I'm glad we had you on tonight as a former major league catcher. You obviously understand the position very well. You said something to me in the green room, so to speak, that Trevino doesn't look right. Obviously, they've stolen a lot of bases off him recently. Red Sox got 9 steals the other day. There's been some talk about, is it the Yankees pitchers just being too slow to the plate? Stroman was in the game, and then they stole off the bullpen pitchers as well. Tonight, they stole with Gerrit Cole on the mound. They stole with the relief pitchers on the mound. They're just running on Trevino. Is there something that you can identify that's allowing runners to steal this much on Trevino?
I'm going to go 80%. It's the pitchers. And that might be a high number. I didn't see all 9 stolen bases the other night. The ones I saw tonight, it was 5 stolen bases or 4 tonight? I forget what you just said.
I think it was 5. Let me just double check real quick. So it was Henderson had 2, Mullins had 2. So it was 4. Henderson had 2, Mullins had 2.
4. 3 of the 4 were definitely on the pitcher. The difference is I don't see that makeup arm strength right now where you can make it up, where you can make up the time from Trevino's mitt to second base. You see Adley Rutschman, he had makeup arm strength right there. And to me, I'm used to seeing that with Trevino. So in no way are these stolen bases a direct reflection on Hosey. It just looks like, and actually Joe Girardi was talking about it on the Yankees cast, that he's like, it looks like there's like a little bit of a hitch in Trevino's throw. And I would agree. I don't know that it's a hitch. It just looks like he can't load up to get that ball out quick with velocity because he's always been a real wristy flick the ball, and it would just explode out of his hand. And right now it doesn't look like he has that arm strength to make it up. And I don't know what his times are. We can look all that stuff up, so I don't know what his times are. But reality is it's majority of the pitchers.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have that FU plus that Walker Buehler's missing right now, that intangible. All right, so there were 2 beanballs tonight. Colton Cowser and Gunnar Henderson both got drilled. Judge and Glaber obviously got hit yesterday. Is it over? If you're on the Yankees and the Orioles, you play for a lot of teams. How does the team handle it when it's kind of even? It's 2-2. Is somebody thinking, all right, I gotta get one up? Or are you saying, all right, we don't want to let this escalate?
You don't want to let it escalate. You're 2 teams that are playing in for the playoff spots, let alone the division. And you don't want guys getting hurt. Nobody in the Orioles wants Aaron Judge to get hurt. Nobody in the Orioles thinks, we can't throw inside to Aaron Judge because we don't want him getting hurt. No, you still got to throw inside. I think today, the pitch to, and this is all based on intent, Gonzalez is the only one that can tell you, but to me, I thought that pitch was on purpose. It was Gunnar Henderson. The score was what it was at the time. And I don't think the one to Cowser was. I think the one to Cowser just got pissed because you got balls coming up and in, and you're a left on left. You're trying to stay in there. And when that gets up in there, you're kind of situating. And really, it was 2-2 this series, but it's like 7 or 8-3. The Yankees have hit way more Orioles. So if I'm the Orioles, I'm okay trying to take a shot. I don't take a shot at Judge tomorrow. I'm okay taking a shot at G. If you're taking a shot. I don't think they will because I think they are supremely focused on winning the games.
Yeah, and I think Giancarlo would be the last guy I would throw at because he really could just separate your head from your body, I think, for most people. All right, let's get to the recap. Let's go through the game a little bit.
Let's get it going.
First batter of the game was a hard one hopper to Torres' left, bounced off his glove, went into right field. Did you happen to see that play live? Did you think Torres should have had that?
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, he hit it hard. And you'd never say, wow, if he didn't touch it, like, it wouldn't have been a double. Like, you got to try to get it. It just seemed like it was that in-between, like, it kind of got on him a little bit. If he dives, it might hit him in the chest. Like, so it's a hard one. If Glaber didn't have the struggles that he's had defensively so far this year, then I think nobody would be questioning it. But he has, and so you're like, Is he losing a step? Was he not ready on that pitch? All those things come into mind.
Yeah. So he came around to score, Henderson came around to score on a double off the bat of O'Hearn. I thought that was a really great piece of hitting by O'Hearn. It looked like Cole was trying to bury the breaking ball down and in for that strikeout, but he kind of left it out over the outer part of the plate, and he was just able to square it up. Good effort by Verdugo. Verdugo had a lot of effort tonight in the outfield. We'll talk about that. Another outstanding defensive play from Anthony Volpe in the top of the second. He continues to make great play after great play on defense. And he might not even win the Gold Glove this year because of the way Bobby Witt is playing in KC. What are your thoughts on Volpe defensively?
It's another level. Like when you talk about big league shortstops, there's only 30 in the game, and all 30 of them really probably aren't big league starting shortstops. They're just playing the position right now. And when you have a guy like that who is so young, he already has one Gold Glove, it's so impressive. What's impressive about him, we were talking about it, was Jorge Mateo hit the ball up the middle late in the game. I think it was 9th or 10th inning, I forget. And he was able to square that ball up. And what I mean by square it up, he's fielding it right in the middle of his body and not like fielding it on the run where he's reaching out with his glove to try to get it and like slinging across his body and making the play. His range right now, I just don't understand it. The diving play early in the game too, where he spun around, the combination of his feet, his quickness, his hands being rarely does he have a transfer from glove to hand that is fumbled.
Right.
And all that is coupled with the fact that he has got a bazooka for an arm. He's a joy to watch.
You know, the metrics say that his arm isn't really that strong. I think it's just the release. I think he's just got a really, really quick release. He's like Marino, you know, just you know, dropping back and darting it out there. You know, that's the way I look at it. But Garrett Cole was done after 4 innings tonight, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. He really began to hit his stride, I think, in about the 3rd inning. He got a couple of strikeouts. A couple more in the 4th. We saw the fastball touch 98 on the radar gun. It's actually 97.5. We're going to round up. Changeup was dirty. Cutter was good. He was throwing the kitchen sink. Did he look healthy to you? He looked healthy to me.
He looked healthy to me. I mean, besides the fact that they stopped him at 62 pitches, that makes me a little like, well, I mean, I get it. Like, I thought he'd be at least 75. And I know you're not going to push him, but he looked healthy. And coming back from an elbow, that is much easier than coming back from a shoulder or a lat, where I saw Verlander last year when he came back from his lat to start the season. It looked like he was laboring and he had almost a different motion. Now, look, Verlander still had a 3 ERA, so he was fine. But I didn't see that from Garrett. I didn't see that, like, laboring to get the ball to the plate. It looked fluid and easy and not like a little, you know, I'm gonna hold a little bit. The one thing that I thought was cool was he was going 94, 94, and then Henderson gets that double, and then he goes, well, I guess I got to turn it up a little bit.
Right.
And it was nothing below 97 the rest of that inning. I know he gave up the run to O'Hearn, but that was a spun breaking ball that stayed out over the plate for a guy who can't hit the ball in. He just didn't execute it. But man, oh man, like to see that 98, the 198 that he popped and a lot of 97s, that is a great sign.
Yeah, I thought he would throw more pitches just because he was up to like 70 in his last rehab outing. Yep. And usually you go up by like 15. So I was counting on about 85 pitches tonight. I was
thinking 75 because I think he threw 70 or 72 in his last rehab assignment.
Yeah, I think it was 70, but you know.
Okay, it was 70? Okay. So I was thinking 75 just because you're running. If he does another rehab assignment, I think he goes 85 down in the bushes. But you're running a little bit different adrenaline. You can't back off that adrenaline. So I think that 75 would have set him up for 90. Now we're looking at like, is he even going to be able to throw 80 next time? You know, and that was weird to me, but clearly they had a plan, and unfortunately it got him the loss.
Well, he did leave with a standing ovation, and the game tied 1-1. Second run that he allowed came on a home run served up by Ron Marinaccio.
Time to stop throwing these fucking meatballs.
So Marinaccio had a tough night, and we were talking before the show. He's probably going to get sent down because the Yankees are going to need another arm. And he threw 34 pitches, wasn't fooling anybody.
He wasn't, and it's weird to me. It looks like, without breaking down Ron Marinaccio's stuff, it just looks like he's not finishing every pitch exactly the same. Not that he's tipping the pitches. It just looks, when he was nasty, when he was on, everything looked exactly the same out of his hand. And it just didn't quite look like that. But I also have to say, the innings that he gave him, or the pitches that he gave him, will save them for Game 3, because he kind of wore it, and he's going to wear it because he's got to most likely go down to the bushes, back on that bus to Scranton. But you know what? It's the big leagues. Like, you got to figure it out.
Yeah. Let's see here. So another one I want to get your opinion on. We've had a few people message about this. Ben Rice, he smoked one 398 to the left field wall. It's 399 though, unfortunately, out there. Great catch by Mowens. We got to give Mowens just a tip of the cap on that one. He ran that shit down. What do you think of Ben Rice's swing so far? And does he remind you of anyone in particular? I already told you he reminds me of a little bit of Roberto Alomar.
Yeah, I know you said that, and I watched it. I don't hate it. I love his plate discipline. And you didn't hate my comp, but I see, maybe because his pants are up, I really see some Greg Bird in him, in the sense that he controls the strike zone really well. He doesn't expand a ton, but he actually strikes out less than what Bird did in the minor leagues. So to me, you have a guy, and he's sneaky big too. He was catching some in the minor leagues. It kind of gives him that flexibility to, put Austin Wells in the game to pinch run. He can get behind the dish. I don't think he will, but I love what his approach is. We saw him last year a little bit at Somerset, and he was having some success, but you have to be up in the big leagues if you're putting up the numbers that he's putting up. And the person playing his position, Anthony Rizzo, was not doing it.
Are the Yankees, just put you on the spot, are they going to be better offensively with Rice for the next, let's say, 8 weeks? So they put Rizzo on the 60-day IL, so he's going to be out 2 months. Over the next 8 weeks, they're going to be better offensively with Rice at first base than with Rizzo.
Does Rizzo continue to do what he was doing?
I mean, that's the question. I mean, do you think he was going to come around, or was it just a slump, or the beginning of the end? That's the calculus.
No, see, I believe he was going to come around. And maybe that's the ignorant player in me. But some of the things that I was seeing from Rizzo early in the season is his timing was way off. And I know the whole concussion stuff it's a real thing. And he was grinding through that last year. So he had grooved in this certain timing that, to me, looked off. And he kind of carried that into these last 40 games. It was really, for me, it was like, does he know he's late? Is he trying to be late and trying to go the other way, trying to just battle? Because he's still putting together good at-bats. But to me, a problem like that, I feel like a veteran guy fixes it.
Yeah.
Can Ben Rice do what Anthony Rizzo was doing? Yeah, absolutely he can, because it wasn't a lot. But I feel like you need a guy like Anthony Rizzo in the lineup. It just creates, even if you don't think he's doing well, it creates a problem. It creates a problem for the other team. And Ben Rice has not been through that fire. He has not, I'm not sure what his name was, Perez. Down in the bushes, they're not bringing Perez in to face him in his third at-bat. He's going to get lefty, 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 and they're going to try to expose him of that. But in his defense, I think he puts together great at-bats. If you look at his numbers in the minor leagues as far as walks to strikeouts, he knows the strike zone. He had a big league take tonight
Yeah.
late in the game. I think it was his 5th at bat. And so it's there. But I really think you would rather have Rizzo. But this is why good teams make it as far as they do, because they have depth like a Ben Rice that can come in and he's going to do really well. I see him hitting 250 would be an absolute explosion of offense for the Yankees at first base.
Yeah, with a little bit of pop. I mean, he drove the ball well tonight. We got a comment here from Jason Thomas in the Lions Den. Oops, I'm having trouble with my mouse. But he says that wasn't Greg Bird a flop? He wasn't until he got hurt. He came up and he did really, really well. But once a guy gets hurt, especially a torn labrum with his swing, the way he had that one arm extension, you're never going to be right after that. He's tearing it up in the Mexican League right now. And Wander Franco tearing it up in the California Penal League. So, I remember Roberto Alomar had that two-handed kind of finish, and that's why he it reminds me of like a hockey shot, That's what I see. Orioles got 3 runs in the 5th. Ron Marinaccio had a tough night. Yankees bullpen is kind of in shambles. They definitely need to go out and get some more arms, whether it's digging in the minor leagues or making a trade at some point. We can talk about that after the recap, what you would do as the GM. But Yankees loaded the bases in the 6th inning. Good at bat by Rice to work a walk. Trevino also walked, but Jahmai Jones pinch hit for Grisham and hit a soft fly out to center field on the first pitch. And that was probably the biggest at bat of the game to that point. Orioles tacked on in the 7th against Canely. He shaves his entire body after every bad outing. He's going to need a new razor soon. It's got to be getting dull. It might be time to go full head shave, like Kratzy. Just get out, because he's still got a full head of hair. That might be the only cure to this thing.
That might be the only cure, or finding his velo back again.
Yeah.
And maybe he needs just a few more outings to get that velo back, or maybe it won't come back. I don't know, because he doesn't have that separation in the splitter and the heater. That's tough. That's tough, because he lived on that, and that's what made him so nasty.
Yeah. Yankees got back on the board in the bottom of the 7th, courtesy of Giancarlo.
Giancarlo Stanton rips one. A Stantonian blast. Giancarlo Stanton hits it out.
G-Unit. Monster shot into Monument Park. 440 feet. I'll tell you, Giancarlo had a good night. He had that. He had the 120-mile-an-hour hit in extra innings, which we'll talk about. But you got any good Giancarlo stories from your time as his teammate?
We used to call him Jonky Ballgame, and because he was just, he is just an absolute unit, and he is so just quiet, reserved, it's unbelievable, how perfect of a man he is. But I always said he got all his gear customized, so his arm sleeve said G all over it, his cleats, his batting gloves said G, and I'm like, G. I was like, I get it. Your stuff is legit and customized. I said, but it's really rubbing it in my face. I was like, you're incredibly good looking, you're in incredible shape, and you get all this customized stuff. I was like, I am neither of those things, and I can't get customized stuff. Which of my initials am I going to get on any kind of baseball anything? E and K, easily the 2 worst initials you can have in all of baseball. And he goes, you know what? I think you're right.
You do a good Giancarlo. Well, my initials are DL, so I probably had a future on the injured list or disabled list back in the day. I made it. But Giancarlo, good night tonight. The unbelievable catch by Verdugo in center field in the top of the 9th, ran one down. He hasn't played much center field, but just outstanding catch. Bottom 9, Volpe led off with a big double down the left field line, 3rd hit of the night, 11th double of the season for him. Giancarlo ripped another base hit, 120 off the bat, and then the Orioles got to Clay Holmes. We talked a little bit about, whether or not we need more relief pitching, whether or not he's a closer. Do you think Clay Holmes is the right guy to be a closer? Does he allow too much contact?
Yeah, I mean that's always going to be the thing for a sinker ball guy. He does well. I mean, he gets a decent amount of strikeouts because it sinks so much. But the reality is, what is that pitch going to look like in a pressure-packed situation when you need, like a runner on second base in extra innings, when you need that punch-out, when you cannot afford to give up a ground ball out that moves the runner up?
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe that's, I say the same thing about Yennier Cano. Yennier Cano gave up the rocket that G hit to center field. I'm leery of your closer being a sinker ball guy, but I also understand that he's been your guy for a minute now. You can't just I don't see them going out and getting a closer and being like, hey, Clay, beat it. I think they've already made their El Nino Torres wants Mason Miller. Well, sorry.
Not going to happen.
Not going to get him.
not going to get him. All right. Well, the Yankees drop a tough one to the Orioles, 7-6.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
If you ain't first, you're last.
They did have a nice little threat there in the bottom half of the 10th, but couldn't get it done. So, series is tied 1-1. Having watched, 2 games between these teams, I feel like the Yankees are putting up a better fight than they put up in Baltimore when they last went into town. But, we didn't have Verdugo in that first matchup with Baltimore. We don't have Judge now this time. We didn't have Soto versus the Dodgers. I feel like against the best competition the Yankees have had this year, they've been hamstrung a little bit.
That's a fair statement. But the Orioles don't have Bradish. The Orioles aren't throwing Burns. You're getting – don't see Grayson Rodriguez in this series. You're just – everybody, you got to beat each team, even if it's the best teams, with all 26 guys. And you sit there and go, okay, game one, had a chance at this game. That's the toughest part, is now you've thrown Holmes 2 nights in a row. So you need to me, it's time. It's time for Heel to throw 7 innings. You need to go into this game. If he gives you 7, this is victory and a series win, which you get a series win against the O's right now, the way that they're playing, that is a statement series.
All right, let's get to the final thoughts here as we wrap it up. Luis Heel on the mound tomorrow. I think there's a real shot he could start the All-Star game if he has 1 or 2 good starts now. As we come closer and closer, we're about less than 3 weeks away now from the All-Star game. He puts up 2 more really good starts like he's been putting up. I think you got to start him.
I don't know how you don't, unless he pitches before. I mean, who had Luis Heel and Shota Imanaga as the matchup in the National League versus the American League? Like, it's incredible what he's doing, and Yankee fans have to be exuberant the fact that this is Garrett Cole's first start of the season today.
Yeah. Well, thanks to all the members, to everyone who's tuned in. We had over 1,000 in the chat at one point. We are closing in on 40,000 subscribers. We're about 130 or 140 away, so go ahead and subscribe if you're new. And subscribe to Foul Territory. That's where Kratz does his work every single day. I've been watching it every day for a year. That's why my hair is starting to fall out just like his. It's just mirror neurons doing their thing. But, Kratz, any final thoughts here?
I love how this season's going for the Yanks. I appreciate you having me on, Derek. But I also appreciate the fact that the Yanks are making me look really smart, because I had the Yankees and Phillies in the World Series. But I'll have to come on again to tell you who I have winning it.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. Thanks to Erik Kratz. Thanks to all of you. And we'll see you tomorrow.